Well, welcome to another video on Alexa skills. This time I'm looking at the APL audio language in Python. Again, I've got some GitHub site for you to look at, which is here, and all the code will be available there. The link I'll put in the code and in the YouTube video to this, and we're using an Alexa hosted skill to do this, so I'll just briefly run through starting with an Alexa hosted skill. If you already know how to do this, then you can skip through the next few minutes of this. So I'm going to call it audio skill. We'll create the skill, type in the skill name, same again, audio skill, and choose an Alexa hosted Python skill and create the skill. That may take a few minutes to do, so start from scratch, continue with template. And while that's creating the skill, we'll just go through what we're looking at here. So the Apla interface enables Alexa devices to render an audio response, so you've got more control over your audio. There's a couple of references here on the APL, the document APL for audio, and also one on the Alexa presentation render document directive that we'll use in a minute. Again, what you need is a JSON code that will hold your directive that you're going to send to your device. And in this case, the directive is a type APLA. So this is from Alexa, or slightly modified from Alexa's example. And it's just the basic, simplest thing I could get. Just one with speech, and it just says, "Hello world." So well, I actually say something slightly different to that in my code. You send the document to the Alexa device using an Alexa presentation APLA render document directive. So that will come as part of the directives part of your response, and your response will look something like this. Now, if you've done anything with Alexa devices before, you'll already see this. The main thing here is it's an APLA render document. If you've done APL stuff, you will have seen that was just an Alexa presentation APL render document. So the trick is, how do we get an APLA render document rather than an APL document? So this is in fact the complete response that I got back when I was doing this earlier on with my testing. A nice thing about APLA is you can use multiple components to create different audio effects. I'm not going to do that here, but we'll try that in another video. Okay, so let's see how we're doing with our code. Console seems to have done all right. So the first thing I always do is I check the skill invocation name, that it hasn't changed. Sometimes it's just a change me there. And the next thing we need to do is to add the APL, the Alexa presentation language to our device, so interface to our device. Nowadays they're all ticked, including some of the more modern Echo Show 15s on there. So save the interfaces and build the model. Now, we're going to use the rendered document directive from the APLA GitHub. Oh, I don't know if I've still got that showing, no, but the reference to it is here anyway. So if you've used APLA before, you may remember that we added some code like this from ASK model interfaces Alexa presentation APL import render document directive. Well, this time we're going to use a similar thing, except it's got this APLA import instead of the APL. Okay, so what's procedure? Create an Alexa hosted skill. You've seen me do that. Change your invocation or check your invocation command. Done that. Select the APL interfaces. Save it. Save the interfaces. Rebuild the model. That's important. Now we want to edit our code. So at the top of the code, sometime after all the froms is a good place to do it. Add our import for our render document directive. So we'll go to code. The model's been built now, and I'm going to put it after the logger stuff here, so I'll put my code. So the first thing we want to do is add that render document directive. Now we're going to use this import JSON because I'm going to use a JSON document, and we need this to import our JSON document, to read our JSON document. So just going to add that code there. And now we want to create I'm going to put the APLA JSON in a separate document. So we want to create that as a separate document, call it apla.json. So we will just save that before I forget. We'll add a new file. We call it apla.json. Create the file and paste in what I had. So we'll save that as well. So this is an APLA document. Very simple. It's a type APLA. Remember, this will be included in the render document directive. Got a description, and all it is it's a type speech, and it just says hello from APLA. I do like doing things simply the first time round. So, having done that, we want to modify the hello world intent. I put in the hello world intent. Oh, and I'll show you what we do. Well, I'll copy and paste it. I'll show you what we do. So we're going to copy all this, and I'm going to replace this hello world intent, which initially just has this speak here. And so what we're doing now is we're replacing this speak output, will be ignored now. We're adding this directive. We're adding the render document directive, which is now going to be the APLA directive. And we load this APL document, which is our APLA JSON here. And this is where we're going to get our speech. So I think that's all we have to do. Save and deploy the code. Save, deploy. That shouldn't take long. So we'll test our program. When the deploy is done, okay, the deploy is done. We go to test. We still have to go through the launch request first of all to launch it. Before we can test it, we need to turn it to development. Launch our skill.
Welcome. You can say hello or help. Which would you like to try?
And if I type hello, we should get
hello
from our APLA, which in fact was exactly what we wanted. So that works quite well. The tricky thing I had was finding where to find the right render document directive. If it doesn't work, looking at CloudWatch logs, if you don't know how to get them, you just click this button here. I'm in the EU, so I click the EU and Ireland one to find my logs. And that's it. I hope that's pretty useful to you. If you need any more information on APLA as such, I've got a YouTube video on APLA displays as well. In the next video, we'll look at more involved APLA code and using the reprompt, which was allowed recently. So I hope you find that useful. Best of luck.